What's up, you guys? I'm Dan. This is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we'll go on my first drive with full self-driving 12.6.4 in a Legacy Model S. Hey guys, so this is a lot of Tesla FSD content kind of all back to back, so apologies for that if you're someone that likes to hone in on the personal finance stuff. We will be getting back to that stuff next week. It just so happens that we got 3 rapid succession updates to Tesla's full self-driving here for the Model S after really quite a dearth of updates since version 12.5.4. So, we got the initial 12.6.3 and it worked relatively well, I think. And then we got a point update on the base software that didn't actually look like it was modifying the FSD because there was no new FSD version. But we did see a little bit of different behavior, and actually we saw very bad behavior, unfortunately. And then, so that was on a Friday, it was installed for me. And then the following Thursday, so less than a week later, got FSD 12.6.4, installed that. And then that was actually last night, installed that last night. And then now we have it ready to rock here, and we'll see how we do. So what we're going to do is a different drive this time. I'm going to go over to a grocery store, H Mart in Plano. Normally we either go up to Oak Point or we go to the Walmart neighborhood, which is good, but I've been doing a lot of the shopping at the H Mart instead because they have great produce. So yeah, let's see how FSD does on the way there. And then I think on the way back, I'll probably film as well so we can get a little bit of highway action as well, because that's where the big improvement here for FSD version 12.6 is versus 12.5 is that we now have end-to-end on the highway, meaning much smoother lane change, merge, and whatnot behavior on the highway, which is great. All right, so just quickly to put up the release notes, you can see here it's just 12.6.4, and I don't think any of the release notes have changed there. And then I don't think we have any new stuff over here. Nope, all the same. So without further ado, let's get going on the drive, see how we do. Okay, FSD is engaged. And I kind of purposely engaged it at a time when our trajectory is not very good to see what would happen. I'm just going to let FSD go with the gate, actually, covering the brakes here, of course. But if we get close enough, yep, there the gate starts to open, and let's see how FSD handles that. Typically, I push the button, but I wanted to see how it would handle this scenario. A little bit impatient here. Yeah, going around the gate, kind of. Okay, that wasn't very good. Now we've just stopped here. So I'm having to hit the accelerator. So gate behavior is still not very good. This trajectory is okay. It's going to be very cautious with this U-Haul and these people. It's kind of a tight turn, actually. So here we go. Ooh, did well. That was very nicely done. I'm quite happy with that. All right, good job. Okay. Oh, are we sticking out? I hope we're not sticking out too much. Maybe a little bit. And here we go. Ooh, that was tricky. Oh, this is bad. Oh, okay, here we go. That was a little bit of a tricky situation there. I don't think FSD handled it all that well. I probably should have reversed, actually, and pulled this back a little bit because we're sticking out. At some point, FSD just needs to commit and kind of go with it, and we didn't do that. Okay, but this was good. Actually, we moved over right to the left much more comfortably than in previous updates. Some of them, it did this kind of weird thing where it just didn't seem to want to get over into this left turn lane, and it would kind of hang out too long. So I think that was well done. So far, issue with the gate, and then also issue merging into the high-speed traffic there, just not picking the right opportunity, and then also kind of bumping its nose into the road, edging its nose into the road a little bit too much without then committing in order to make the turn happen. that one is a little bit tricky, but I guess what I'd say is I would have waited for a safer opportunity rather than edging out the way that it did. Okay, this is a very comfortable left turn though. Easy to do with that green arrow. Comfortable lane change. Good speed, we're doing 44 and a 40, so very comfortable with that. And I do have to say that actually, once we did make that initiation of the turn, then we got up to good speed. And then I'd also say that the car that did have to swerve around us a little bit didn't seem to get too upset about it. So I guess we couldn't have been poking out all that much. It felt like more to me than it actually probably was. All right, now we have an aborted lane change. Not sure why the car wanted to change lanes because we do still need to go forward another 7/10 of a mile. So that was kind of a quirky behavior, but it aborted it. We didn't need to do it, and it's fine. Certainly not a safety critical issue. We do, however, after we cross this line, want to get over into the right-hand lane so that we can make our right turn that's coming up there. Pretty cold days. You can see here not all of the regen is available for the rear drivetrain. This is a rear-wheel drive model. We don't have a motor in the front. That was not for us, that was for the car next to us, which is just actually being polite or kind and letting this other vehicle through. So far, so good. We are going to need to get one lane over. It looks like FSD is going to do that by moving quickly. Kind of hit the accelerator, that was good. We do need to start thinking about getting over. Oh, it's not doing a good job here. Now it's going to go behind the car when we could have gone in front. Oh, and it needs to go slower if it wants to get behind him. So we're matching speed where we should be going at a speed differential if we're going to make this lane change. So that was poorly done. It looks like we're going to get it done still, so not an issue. And of course now he's changing lanes, so there you go, he or she. So in the end it got it done. Could have been done more smoothly, I think. This continues to be something that is not great at, which is that it ends up matching speed. Ooh, that was kind of a squirrely deal. It does tend to get a little skittish when people are tailgating you, and that Camry was kind of a little bit close to us. Seems to make FSD a little skittish. But we shouldn't make excuses for it. It should have still driven in a smooth and consistent manner, predictable manner, which it did not. So we still have this issue with the abortive lane changes. That's the second one that we've seen so far. Lane positioning seems to be pretty good. We're a little bit biased towards the left-hand side of the lane, but we'll see if that continues. Ooh, that was kind of weird. So we started going and then we slowed down again and then started accelerating again. So that was a little bit uncomfortable. You probably couldn't pick it up on the camera, but it just felt funny. It was like, well, it's green, it's clear, why aren't we going? Why would you hesitate like that? A lot of quirks here with the AI, basically with the neural nets. Before it was very deterministic, kind of hard-coded programming with a blend of that and neural nets. But what it meant was a lot more kind of hard, fast rules, a lot more predictability in many cases, and less room for these kinds of quirks that you get when you're all end-to-end. Now, of course, the benefit, though, is that the driving is much, much smoother. And it's also, of course, much more capable. There are many things that FSD should be able to do now that it couldn't do in the past. One of those things that I've noticed is, of course, obstacle avoidance. If there's something in the road, it does a much better job of avoiding those obstacles now. Interestingly though, I did see someone that thought that their car might have thought that the arrows painted on the road for like a right-hand turn lane or that kind of thing, that the car might have briefly perceived them to be an obstacle. So that was a kind of interesting thing. Another odd one, we get this pre-roll thing here where, yeah, the car starts nudging forward when it knows the light's about to turn green, but the timing's kind of off, and then it ends up usually like applying the brakes at the time that the light comes on. So its timing's just a little bit off here. That was nice. There was a pedestrian crossing, but at our speed and trajectory, there was no danger for them, and so it's good that we didn't unduly hit on the brakes or anything like that. Lane selection has also been good. We're taking a left turn in 1/10 of a mile. So this is the appropriate lane to be in. Again, doing that pre-roll thing. It knew the light was going to turn green, see, but the timing was off. And it actually, I think, ends up making it a little bit slower off the line than it would be otherwise. So maybe in other places, the timing is accurate. Oop, stopping for the tracks here, having to intervene because we got cars behind us. So yeah, it slowed down for those tracks, didn't need to, and that's our first real intervention, having to hit the accelerator a little bit in order to make that happen. Felt some indecision here in picking its turn lane. Was it going to go to that one or this one? It eventually decided to go with this one, which is okay, but eventually we do need to get over into the right-hand lane again to make our right turn into the supermarket parking lot. Pretty smooth turn here, that was good. Nice acceleration coming out of that, and a smooth lane change as well. I mean, really, these small issues aside, this is an incredible system, right? Oh, this is much better. Not an abortive lane change. I think it's just skittish. They really dialed the carefulness up quite a bit. Well, except for when it was nudging its nose into the road there on that first turn we took. But generally, though, I think it's just a little bit too skittish, and they could tone that down for the next version. That would be good. But they might do that as we go. But I was saying that really this system is quite incredible, what it can do. I was driving with a friend of mine to the opera last weekend, I think it was, and you just had no idea the car could do so much. And a lot of times when I have passengers, they assume that I'm driving when actually it's the car that's doing all of the driving itself. So it's kind of crazy. There seems to be a little bit of an inability for them to really fully grasp it. And then those that really do, like another friend of mine, she gets kind of freaked out about it because she can tell when I'm paying attention, but I'm not paying super close attention the way that I would if I was driving myself, because, well, I would need to be kind of on every single second. Here it's more like I'm monitoring the situation rather than having to be sort of actively engaged all the time. So it makes a difference, and it kind of freaks her out, this whole, the car's driving itself thing, especially at highway speeds, which of course, have historically been where this system works the best. Really, this was the first thing they built, was the autopilot on the highway. Okay, let's see how this goes. We're gonna cross the intersection and then take a right turn. And it's kind of a weird path that the nav makes us take. We could take kind of the next entrance sort of thing, but the nav tells us to take a right here at the Burger King, and then to immediately take a left-hand turning after that, which might be a little tricky here. So they're kind of fun. We had this interaction with all these cars, and wow, that was beautifully smooth. Very predictable, very easy for everybody around us, so very happy with that. And so now we need to take a right turning. Before the stoplight would be preferable. We can do it at the stoplight, but if we do it right here, that's actually better. Ooh. All right, stop for the car. That was good. Just letting FSD kind of decide what it wants to do here. All right, we're moving forward again. And it is, again, I think a little bit too skittish with all these cars. But made the turn. So we could have taken a turn where they, of course, were entering, is what I'm saying. Or we could have just, continued inside the parking lot here and not had to interact with those vehicles at all. But here we are now in the H Mart parking lot. Now the pin is over by the entrance, so I don't think the car is going to try to park itself. And so what I'm going to do actually is just signal here and effectuate my own parking job, because yeah, it's it would have tried to go over towards the entrance, and then it wouldn't have been able to find a parking spot or anything. So we're just gonna have to do this for it, and then I'll be back and we'll come home, and we'll get to see how FSD performs on the highway with 12.6.4, and it might be a little bit darker outside as well, so that could provide, you know, a welcome little challenge for the system. But overall, so far so good. Not perfect, but so far so good. Hey guys, so now we are going home after the grocery store, and unfortunately I forgot to hit the record button as I was coming out there. So hard to explain to you now what happened, but basically we've just come out of the grocery store parking lot, and the only issue was that there's this one point where it kind of hesitated. I can't really describe the scenario to you, but there's just a bit of a hesitation. Didn't need to hesitate. Hit the accelerator. We continued forward up to the intersection, and then we took a perfectly good right turn at the intersection, and here we are on the way home. Unfortunately, it looks like the highway is pretty backed up, and so the car has chosen to navigate to go back on city streets rather than going on the highway. So we won't get to see the highway behavior, but we know the highway behavior is good. It's, you know, always been good, and now it's even better with all the smoothness. So really not something that I'm concerned about. And so my focus, because I spend most of my driving on city streets, is really not on the highway. It's an interesting thing, actually. If you go on you know, social media, like on X, you'll see people talking about the performance of FSD, and a lot of people do focus on the highway because probably their morning and evening commute takes them on the highway, and so it's a big deal for them. But for me, I don't have a commute. I work from home, and when I do drive around, it's mostly local, and so I'm not having to go on the highway. Oh, this is great. So I was thinking about changing lanes. There was a fast-moving car driving like a Yahoo? I don't know. Anyway, and so it aborted, and that was perfectly good. And then we moved over, and now we're moving over again to get past this vehicle that's going a little bit slowly, and also because we're going to have to take a left-hand turn in a little while. Anyway, so this is going really well. I have to say, one of the big things that I've noticed, even with the other 12.6 version, 12.63, I think it's quicker decision making and a more real-time ability to think. They've done a good job of somehow having it parse the world and make decisions much, much faster and more real-time than before. So that latency is down. It's also very, very smooth, very, very smooth driving. The roads are not smooth, and so the camera may be shaking for you a little bit. Sorry about that. So much so I can kind of hear the camera rattling. A bit of a slowdown that wasn't necessary there, but that's okay. 37 and 40 is fine. We got traffic ahead of us anyway, and we're going to have to make this turn in a moment anyway. So no big deal. We missed our green turn arrow, so we're going to have to make a turn with the yellow arrow. Here we're deciding on the lane. Is it going to go behind the Encore truck? It thought better of it, which is good. You know, we do have a right turn coming up eventually, so it kind of makes sense that it would want to be behind the Encore truck, but also it's a slow-moving vehicle, and so better to be in this lane. We can also get a better view of oncoming traffic to get an idea of whether or not we're going to get an opportunity to cross early. And, not right now because of those trucks and stuff. Hopefully we're going to stop here. It is pretty heavy flow of traffic here at 5:33 p.m. on a Friday. So I'm not sure that we're going to get the opportunity that FSD is hoping for in order to make this left turn. We could go now if we gunned it, but I don't think it's going to do it because it would be a dumb idea, because it doesn't have the gumption to do a move like that, and really it shouldn't be doing that kind of thing anyway for us. It shouldn't be a thrill-seeking, adventure ride. It should be, just a good, calm, safe commute. So that's fine. We will have to wait for the next green light when I would have gunned it and taken that opportunity. But again, I don't think that's the best behavior. So this is perfectly good what we're doing. I've also noticed these later versions, this version 12.6.3 does a much better job of following those guidelines on the turns, where previous versions would completely ignore them, or I don't know, just yeah, not a safe thing to do when there's other traffic around you. Now, mind you, a lot of people don't follow those lines very well. So it might have been learning from poor drivers, and maybe as the data set gets bigger and they can pick out more instances of good driving to train the system on, then they're able to kind of prove those things. Neural nets are weird and kind of interesting. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to try Grok 3. It's the new version of XAI's large language model. They used to have Grok 2, and now Grok 3 is out. That's doing that edging forward kind of thing again, predicting the green light. Again, it was just a little bit too early. Here's the green light, and we didn't, we had all the inertia again because we had stopped. So it's just its timing is a little bit off here in Texas. This is probably the right timing for other parts of the country, but its timing is a little bit off for the traffic lights here in Plano. Okay, good speed modulation again. 44 and a 40, very happy with that. Good lane positioning as well, nothing uncomfortable about it. And again, nice, fast decision making, smooth driving overall. I often want to see how the car will behave here. There's this big dip as you go through the intersection, and if you're going too fast, carrying too much speed, you can bottom out, and of course we don't want that to happen. I have noticed FSD will actually slow down for it. Not quite as much as I would, but it does slow down for it, and going at 27 was perfectly comfortable that time. When you're going more like 40, that's when it starts to be no good. In the 30s, it's all right. Oh, this was good. Nice, smooth lane change and not aborted. I think what happens is it wants to do these nice, smooth lane changes, but if a car is being really aggressive and getting close to its tail, then is when it decides to bail out, when the appropriate thing would be to continue. Although, the safer thing, of course, could be to bail, but I think, in most instances, continuing would be the better option, maybe speeding up if possible and necessary. But it does the more cautious thing, which, for now seems to be good. All right, right turn coming up in 0.2 of a mile. And then we'll get to see if there are still any kind of navigation or map issues affecting FSD, because if you remember my last video, it kept wanting to take a right turn when we need to take a left into my complex. So that was kind of a weird behavior. So let's see, smooth right turn, very well done. And good, we're moving towards the left, which is the direction we need to be moving in. Excellent. All right, so here we go, we're in the correct lane. We're gonna have to make a left turn. This one could be fun because it's one of these, again, tricky turns. We gotta cross 3 lanes. There's a whole lot of that in this area. But if traffic's light, if we get a good little gap, then we'll be okay. So let's see how we do on this unprotected left turn. Pretty heavy flow of traffic, as you can see up there. Not sure when the time is going to be right. I'm going to go ahead and try to open the gate for us with the clicker. It's thinking about it, it's like, oh, there's kind of a gap, not really. There's an opportunity over here as well. If it gunned it, it could definitely make this one. Nope, it wasn't prepared, which is fine. I just don't want it to try and use a crummy opportunity without the proper speed being carried to make the maneuver safely. Now, of course, here's a great opportunity, right? After this truck, unfortunately, of course, this always happens. There's a guy turning when you need to make the turn too, and then they screw up your whole thing or slow it down, but it worked okay. All right, and then we need to take a right here into the gate. The nav kind of does some weird stuff, but we're doing well. Oh, Unnecessary braking there. All right, I'm having to hit the accelerator to pull us through. Yeah, so basically it just doesn't handle gates well. These last two versions, we had 12.6.3 and 12.5 was also bad at handling the gates. Well, there you go, guys. We made it home safely with FSD 12.6.4. Thoughts overall? Well, it was not perfect. So we still had, I think, 3 major issues. Let's see. The first one was with the gate. It's got skittishness with the gate, both coming in and going out. So if we remove that, it's not that big of a deal. Not a big, minor intervention to hit the accelerator pedal. The only major issue was that we were pushing our nose out into the road too much there because we aborted one attempt to take that initial right turn because of traffic. And then, the next time it was a bit uncomfortable for one car that had to swerve around just a little bit. And then we did, pull in right behind them, which was good. So that was unfortunate. And then the other problem I had was another unnecessary slowdown while I was coming out of the parking lot of the supermarket. You guys didn't get to see that because I forgot to hit record. I had it already, and I was yapping away happily at you, and it wasn't being recorded. So you missed that. But so basically, aside from the nudging the nose out into the road, which ended up being okay, thankfully, aside from that, it was a very successful drive. But of course, that behavior, could be better. And I should have been quicker to hit on the brakes before it pushed its nose out. But I thought that it was going to take that opportunity. And there was an opportunity to make that turn, and then it aborted, and then that's why we ended up in trouble. And then I could have reversed, of course, to get the nose out, which I probably should have done. But altogether, I would say that I'm pretty happy. I mean, it's really easy to forget, again, just how amazing this system is, that the car is driving itself and it's doing all this stuff, and it essentially did the job. So very happy with it so far, and I hope we'll continue to see further improvement here for AI3 or Hardware 3 vehicles like mine. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.